You know, the best way for companies to deter from whatever launch Apple is doing is to obviously intensify whatever leaks we're going to get from their next product. Because yes, we have a first look at the Galaxy S21 or S30, and it brings a different design. It looks like Google is being sued by none other than the US Department of Justice for various reasons, and some Pixel 5 users have noticed an interesting gap between their device and its display. I'm Jaime Rivera, and just a quick disclaimer, I don't know if you remember years ago when I picked up a sty and I had to do the daily with sunglasses. I'm hoping that's not the case, but I do feel some pain. This is Pocketnow Daily. The official news today begin with deals as yes, new week and sort of new deals, but let's begin with my current daily driver, which is the 16-inch MacBook Pro. Right now it's $300 off, which leaves the 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of storage variant for $2,100. Now the Razer Blade Stealth 13 is also $349 off, which leaves one with the same specs of that MacBook Pro with the NVIDIA GeForce 1650 graphics card for $1,451. Definitely go for the Razer. Now the Pixel 4 is $192 off, leaving the entry-level variant at $608 shipped. And finally, the Apple Watch Series 6 is $24 off, leaving the 40mm variant for $374. We've got more deals on the Pixel 4 XL, LG TVs, and others in the description. Now let's move on to Huawei and Kirin processors as you know, given all the legal battles, we never thought that this was actually going to be a topic we'd cover again, but it seems that will be the case. We know that Apple was the first to announce the 5nm chip with the A14 Bionic, so Huawei wants to do something to stand out. According to a new tweet from Ice Universe and some benchmarks, the Kirin 9000 GPU uses 24 cores. Yeah, you heard that right, but that's not entirely good. Ice mentions that this is the highest specification, but it's clocked at a lower frequency, so it doesn't really transfer into better results. According to a leaked Antutu benchmark, this SoC scored at 693K, basically on par with the Exynos 1080, but it obviously has better results when it comes to graphics. We're expecting the Huawei Mate 40 Pro in a couple of days with this Kirin 9000, a 6.76-inch OLED display, up to 12 gigs of RAM, and the pretty impressive camera, so we'll keep you posted. Now, here's the thing, I am excited for whatever Huawei brings to the Mate series. I do feel the company does photography better than anybody, but I wonder if you're still excited in the comments. Now let's move over to Apple, as yes, there is already a lot of content out there. Our units are slated to arrive on Friday, and we are really excited. Stay tuned for that coverage. That said, let's talk sales figures, as a new report from Ming-Chi Kuo estimates that the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro saw between 7 to 9 million pre-orders over the past weekend. Last year, Apple got 10 to 12 million pre-orders during launch week. But of course, that was a different time, and bear in mind, it wasn't a staggered launch. Quote actually says that this beat analyst expectations, as Apple's customers usually prefer the two higher-end models, but apparently there is still strong demand in China, the United States, and Europe. Analysts also expect the Mini and the Pro Max to sell in more moderate quantities, but Apple should still have a pretty good year overall. The 12 and 12 Pro will apparently take 30 to 35% of the pie, the Pro Max 15 to 20%, and the Mini being the least popular with 10 to 15%. Now, how many of you ordered the iPhone on pre-order day, or are you actually waiting to get it in your hand and decide if you actually want it or not? Now let's move on to Google, because there's no such thing as a Pixel launch without some sort of problem with the units, which is a sad thing to say. It's been less than a month since we got the Pixel 5, but some people are starting to notice a gap between the phone's frame and the display. Most of the reports were on the Pixel forum on XDA, but the guys over at Android Police have been having the same issues. Now, the issue apparently happens in different places, but the most common area is close to the selfie shooter. In some cases, it's less noticeable than in others, but at the end of the day, this could be a pretty big issue if it compromises the water resistance of the phone. So reports mentioned that this issue was present as soon as they took the Pixel 5 out of the box, and it hasn't separated over time, but it still sounds like if Google needs to do some quality assurance, we'll keep you posted once they provide a response, whether positive or negative for buyers. So far, I can tell you that our unit has not provided any sort of issues, nothing that I can complain about, and our other units in the studio, they're not providing any issues, but we'll keep you posted. Now let's continue talking about Google, because It's dramatic. Like, the US Department of Justice has just issued a lawsuit against the company over its practices, quote unquote. According to them, Google is a monopolist. They violated laws to trounce the competition, specifically in the search and advertising markets, and highlights a few exclusionary agreements. Some of them include making business arrangements that make the pre-installation of their search application mandatory on mobile devices, aka Google Play services, and then signing a long-term deal with Apple that makes Google the default search engine on Safari, and exploiting their monopoly to get preferences through their search engine, browser, and more. Google simply responded by saying that this is a deeply flawed lawsuit that does nothing to help consumers, and they also addressed other details like the fact that Apple chooses Google search because they think they're the best. So far, we don't really know what to make of this. All I can tell you is I wish we weren't dealing with more drama in 2020 and have government and companies actually just figure out ways to contribute, but that's just me. But anyways, finally, the hottest news today have to do with the Samsung Galaxy S21 or S30 or whatever that thing's gonna be called, or things, because we're assuming that we're getting more than one phone as always. If you remember, there's a very high possibility that the phone will be launched earlier, around say January or early February of 2021, according to news sources. So obviously that opens the door to official CAD renders, even if early. These come from OnLeaks and Voice showing off the new design. Keep in mind that this design might and will most likely change over time, so this is somewhat of a first look. Now, first off, we have the 6.2-inch display at the front with the typical slimmer bezels and the centered punch hole at the top. But, well, probably the biggest change is when you look at the camera hump at the back, which is almost inexistent. It seems almost flush to the rest of the chassis, like finally. On these renders, it brings a triple camera array, but then obviously no other word on what else is changing. We should wait in for that. Again, only expect the rumors to intensify as we get closer to the launch. Let us know in the comments, what do you think about the renders? Do you like what you see or not? Because in my case, I'm like, my God, it's about time we figured out the camera hump, which was never a Samsung problem. They always figured it out before. The Galaxy S10 for me was the best design, but anyways, let us know what you think in the comments. Friends, again, if you want to get the news earlier, follow us on Pocketnow.com and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. Also, follow us on social media as our extended coverage happens on Instagram, and follow me on my personal handles to see me worry about getting sick. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like what you saw. I'm Jaime Rivera. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.